Good morning and welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. We're so glad you're here. We'd like you to stand, get your hands clapping. We're going to celebrate how our souls are welcome here.
That's right, and we have Miss Denise Anye with us today, and we're so excited to have her with us. Let's all sing together. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be in my soul. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Your soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul, my soul, my soul. My soul is welcome here. My soul, my soul, my soul. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome
Well, good morning, Rev. Good to see you. Our souls are welcome here, as always.
They are. Good morning, Reverend James. It's great to be here. And we greet you in the name of all that is good, all that is sacred, and all that is holy, and in the warm and loving energy of this community, Spiritual Life Center. Spiritual Life Center honors all people worshiping in temples, mosques, churches, stone circles, and the beautiful temples of nature, because we know there is no space that God does not grace. And if you're with us for the very first time today, whether you're watching us online or here in person, we especially want to welcome you, because we know we are not here by accident. Every one of us is here by
Divine appointment.
And we're just so grateful and to be able to get together. And that gratitude extends to silencing your electronic devices. And please refrain from flash photography during the service.
Let's take a moment now that we've created that clearing and that space to connect with the presence and commune with it right now. Knowing that it's never away from us, it can never leave us or forsake us. Because we're living and moving and having our beingness in His presence at all times and in all ways. And as we make this presence the activity of our awareness in thought, word, and action, then we begin to radiate all the qualities from which we have come. First and foremost, divine love itself was that which is holding together everything that we see. It is the foundation of this entire universe. And then we begin to see all of the offspring of love, including peace and health and wholeness, vitality and vigor and imagination and zeal, and all that's good and perfect comes from this one source, and we, being from that source, contain all of these qualities as well. So we come here today to remind one another of the truth of our being, to behold the magnificence that we are, to affirm the truth that liberates us and sets us free. And we're grateful to be the vessels and the vehicles and the instrumentalities of this presence. We are the way the Spirit gets around in this dimension, and God needs us to shine God's light, and that we do. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Well, we have a very important purpose here at Spiritual Life Center. It's reflected in our mission statement, and I invite you to join in as we affirm it together. To transform lives, to make a positive difference in the world, as we love, serve, and remember. And we carry out that mission as we embody these 5 universal principles to the best of our ability in all that we think, say, and do. Again, let's affirm them together. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God, and we must take action.
And as we've been saying for the last couple of weeks, the Wednesday night action is a little bit different in June. And so next week is going to be community meal only. The week after that is the birthday bash, because it's the first Wednesday in July. And then after that, we start a 4-week class with Reverend James.
Yes, we're calling that Keys to Healing, Well-Being, and Your Personal Evolution. I know that's a mouthful, but we're going to cover a mouthful. You know, you asked me what it's about. I'm kind of putting it together, and I've come to the conclusion that everything that we want already exists. And some people use this term called the quantum field, the 4th dimension, the infinite possibilities. So how is it that we can access it to bring it into our life, and how we can crush our limiting beliefs to access those things? So we're going to talk about that.
It's going to be a great class. Your classes are always great. And there is a flyer at the hub that gives you the whole list of what's happening in June and July for Wednesdays, so you might want to pick that up.
And periodically we have an update, a community update, and we're going to have an update today from our, back that up. I went a little ahead of myself.
Bingo.
We don't want to forget about the bingo, because there's some serious bingo players here at Spiritual Life Center. Let me tell you, when they get into that room and start playing bingo, we have to have referees to separate each other, because they take their bingo seriously. So join Elaine Laroa for a rainbow bingo. That's going to be on next Friday, the 28th. At 7 o'clock, and we invite people to register online or at the hub so we know how many people to prepare for and set up the number of tables. But it's always a wonderful experience. And also now, for our community update, we're going to invite Ruth Rizzo. She's going to come forth and talk about the community action team. So welcome, Ruth. Good morning.
I'm Ruth Rizos, and I'm with the Community Action Team, otherwise known as CAT or CAT, and formerly known as the Community Giving Committee. I'm here to give you an update on how we have changed and how our first project went. I seem to have a little froggy in my throat. Excuse me. We provided a birthday party in May to celebrate 6 youngsters living at the Next Move Family Transition Program for formerly homeless families. Each child with a May birthday was gifted with 3 gifts, 2 from their wish list for fun items, plus 1 needed clothing item. These gifts, plus treats and funds for decorations, were provided by SLC congregants. About 25 children, from toddlers to teens, attended, none of them leaving the party empty-handed. All received a small gift. 15 wonderful SLC volunteers fed them with nonstop treats and supervised the fun. Balloon animals were made to order by our own Marion, who also did some face painting while she was dressed as a ladybug. Kids played Pin the Tail on Godzilla and made paper crafts. A really great time was had by all of us. And I would really like to thank each and every one of you who made donations or volunteered at the party. It really was wonderful, and it wouldn't have happened without you. Our next project is collecting eyeglasses for the Lions Club to distribute to optical missions in needed nations around the world. Please bring your old, no longer needed prescription glasses or reading glasses to church for the next few weeks. We have a collection box right out the door in the courtyard. And finally, we really welcome your suggestions and your participation in providing our community with needed and fun services. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. Need any help?
And remember, there are many activities that foster transformation here at Spiritual Life Center, and so you can check out our weekly small groups and our other offerings. Go out to the courtyard, look at the bulletin board, go chat with the ladies at the hub, and of course you can always go to our website because absolutely everything possible is there.
And of course, we come to Spiritual Life Center, among other things, to connect with like-minded people in various activities. It might be a class, it might be the workshop, it might be our community action team. But we don't have to wait until a special activity takes place to connect with someone. You can do so right here, right now. So in a manner that feels comfortable for you, just turn to a friend or a neighbor or a friend-to-be and say, "You are marvelous and glad you are here."
There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. Let it all go. And this is what I have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. My heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle.
let's take a nice deep breath together. Settle into our chairs and drop into that heart space. And let's begin by speaking our vision statement together. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
Did you know that unforgiveness imprisons us in our past? So if you're still holding on to the pain of that event, or if you can still remember every detail, it means you have not forgiven. Peter asked Jesus, how many times do I forgive my brother, my sister? Do I do it 7 times? And Jesus said, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. Unforgiveness or forgiveness is unlimited. I forgive you. I forgive you. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. I forgive them. I forgive them. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender, yeah. Said I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. I forgive me. I forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. Yes, I am. I'm ready for my change.
I forgive you. I forgive them. I forgive me. I'm ready for my change. As we continue to settle in, take some gentle breaths. Relax into your chair. Drop your shoulders. Relax your eyelids. And now breathe normally and let yourself drift into a light daydream. You are walking through a well-tended park. It's early spring and the air is cool and soft. Nature is displaying her spring colors all over this park. Flowers blaze in pinks, yellows. A bluebell rings out her colors. Trees are sprouting new leaves, and some are boasting their own blossoms which is why a particular tree catches your attention. There's something odd about it. As you come near the tree, you notice that even though it seems strong and healthy, the leaves seem lethargic. They're not wilted from lack of water, but neither are they strong and vibrant. They're a dull green, and there's no sign of that beautiful new growth on this tree. And so you reach to a low branch and try to pick off a leaf, but it won't come off. You tug a little harder, and still the leaf won't let go. How odd. And then you see a sign down near the roots. It says, "Your tree of sorrows and woes." And it comes to you that perhaps your resentments and anger are taking a toll on this tree. It can't let go. And so you step closer to the tree and reach out. Maybe you touch it with your hand or wrap your arms around it, or perhaps just stand very close. But in your own way, you fully connect with this tree. And as you commune with this tree, you silently affirm, "I release all feelings of guilt, fear, anger, and resentment. I embrace love, forgiveness, and compassion." Again, I release all feelings of guilt, fear, anger, and resentment. I embrace love, forgiveness, and compassion. In the silence. You are enfolded in peace. And now something light lands on your shoulder. It's a fiery red leaf. Curious, you stand back and you are astounded. The leaves have turned. They are all colors, orange, red, pink, gold. And the leaves are now falling from the tree. And you stand in a rainbow rain of leaves. All around you, they tumble to the ground. A multicolored rug of leaves surrounds the tree. It is almost bare now, just as it should be to be open to growth. And you have a deep sense of relief. And you look up at a cloudy sky. Rain is coming. And you know that the rain will revitalize the tree because it is ready for new growth and expansion. And you turn to come back to the physical world, but then you remember that little sign. And so you bend to look at it, and it now says, "Your tree of forgiveness and joy." In gratitude, you walk down the path, take a breath, and as you start to become aware of your body and surroundings, receive this blessing. Oh, my beloved, forgive yourself first. Acknowledge your sad and resentful feelings, then offer them up so that they may drop away and be transmuted into forgiveness and joy. And this way, you'll be able to live your life fully and completely in a consciousness of love and joy. Remember this, always.
You're surrounded by walls built on years of failed intentions, too afraid to move on. So many shades of desperation, still you fight for control of the things you never can change, and your tired, restless soul rushes on with wild abandon. Wait and see what can be when you learn to trust enough to set it free. You'll find a peace, sweet release, and everything you have to know on the other side of letting go. Holding on to the past, can't let go of fading memories, and the tighter you grasp, the more the days slip through your fingers. Wait and see what can be when you learn to trust enough to set it free. You'll find peace, sweet release, and everything you have to know on the other side of letting go. If your outstretched arms reach for blessings, then your empty hands will be filled. Wait and see what can be when you learn to trust enough to set it free. You'll find peace, sweet release, and everything you gotta know is on the other side of letting go. On the other side of letting go. Letting go. You'll find peace, sweet release,
Denise Anye.
So it's wonderful to have you, Denise Anye. The other side of letting go. Sometimes it's hard to let go, but we got to do it. Years ago, there was a young man named Clarence. And Clarence was charged, tried, sentenced, and convicted of a crime he did not do. Some of you may know I used to practice law. I used to represent some folks in criminal cases, and every single one of my clients say, I'm innocent. And I said, well, they got a tape here. You want to stick with that story? But anyway, in this case, Clarence was actually innocent. And he ended up spending 17 years in a federal prison for the wrongful arrest and the conviction that he endured. And every single day while he was incarcerated, he just knew somebody was going to walk up, come to his cell and say, we discovered the mistake and you're free to go. Well, that never happened. It took a number of years of legal wrangling, but eventually the court found that not only was he innocent, but there had been some tampering of evidence, and he was pretty much set up and led to his conviction, and eventually he was released. And during an interview, the interviewer said to him, it's absolutely incredible that you have no trace of anger or resentment. You don't have any bitterness, yet you were in prison unjustly for 17 years. And Clarence responded, well, oh no. I was in prison for 3 years. Because for 3 years I was filled with resentment. I was filled with rage. I was filled with bitterness. I was filled with an unforgiving heart. And every day I felt locked in, victimized, and unhappy about my experience and circumstance. Then he said that one day I had a revelation. He said he realized through his own work that he was made in the image and likeness and not of God, that God was pleased with him. And after 3 years of having all that resentment and rage and unforgiveness, that if God had him in that particular position, it was for God's glory was supposed to show up in his life. In other words, there was some appointment there for him. And he said after that revelation, every day he said he got up and he began to express more peace. He began to express acceptance and forgiveness. And he started to do all of his inner work. And he began to ask himself on a regular basis, where within myself do I believe in any injustice? Where within myself do I believe in unfairness? Where within myself is this stuff that says that I must be resentful or unforgiving for me to have anything good happen here? And he began to release all of that was within him. By untying that negative energy that did not serve him, what happened opened up things. He began to see a new vision. He began to see new possibilities for himself. And he said the last 14 years that he was in prison, that he worked with other prisoners, teaching them the truth of who and what they really are. And so when he finally got out, yes, he was free, but he said he had been free for 14 years. A new vision for his life began to be expressed. And he would not have had that if he had maintained and kept those unforgiving thoughts. When we hold resentful mind or suspicious mind, that person may be outside the walls of any kind of incarceration, but they're still in prison if they're holding on to the mindset or harboring negative energy toward another person, another situation, or circumstance. Because then we do not see the world that the Spirit of God has created in that situation. We only see our limited thinking. We only see our limited view of the world. Charles Phillips, the co-founder of Unity, said something to the effect that if we try to free ourselves while holding another in bondage with our negative thoughts or condemning thoughts, then we cannot demonstrate our own freedom. So we're talking about the power of forgiveness today. And as I was preparing, I reread scripture from the Gospel of Matthew, the 5th chapter, the 23rd and 24th verse. And to sum it up, it just said in substance, if you are to offer your gift at the altar, and then you remember that someone has done something to you that leads you to hate, resent, or have a grudge against that person, it says forgive them and then go back and offer your gift. Now, I've read that story and had it pass through my mind many times, but its meaning has evolved for me over time. For now, it's telling me that we cannot fully offer our gifts to the world or anyone if we have a judgmental, suspicious, or resentful mind, because it sucks away all our power. You know, an authentically empowered person is one who forgives. Because forgiveness is not a moral issue. It's not like, oh, I got to do this because it's a good thing. We do not try to do it because we want to try to get favor from some sort of external deity. Forgiveness is an energy dynamic. It simply means that we do not carry the baggage of an experience. It means that we no longer bring the past into our present moment. And that's what resentment is. It comes from the Latin term resentire, which means to resense, to feel again, because we're not letting it go, we're not releasing, and we're seeing life from a backward glance. We're seeing life in retrospect, and many people live from this framework as if their prayer is based upon the country western song that says, looking back is the only thing I have to look forward to. I don't know if that's a country western song, but it should be. I think the key to forgiveness is it's never for the other person. The person may not change at all, may not change one whit. The circumstances may not change at all. As for Clarence, it never changed. For a number of years, the external circumstances. So when someone seems to have done harm to us, somewhere within us, we must find the vibration of oneness, the vibration of forgiveness, the vibration of letting go, and radiate divine love anyway. Now, it's not like we're condoning the act. We're seeing the truth and beholding the divine in that individual, because we can separate the fact of the person and the truth about them as a child of God, where we can see that maybe they've just forgotten their true identity, they've forgotten who they are. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to go out and, hang out with the individual and take them to lunch and, massage their feet or anything like that. No. I'm not saying you have to do any of that at all. We want to take it upon ourselves to come from the space and see from a different perspective. Now, I know in many cases this is counter to our conditioning, and where we've been taught sometimes in this world that when sometimes someone does something, we're here to kick butt, take names, make somebody pay for what they have done. But there's power when we forgive. There was a man named Larry who was separated from his wife, and he wanted to reunite with her. And he had confided with a friend of his, a very close friend, and later on he found out that his friend had been seeing his estranged wife. Well, this infuriated him. He was enraged about the betrayal, and he wanted to revert to some old behavior he had been engaging in most of his life, which included physical harm to other people. But he decided, to take some guidance from someone else and said to go see a minister, and he went to go see a minister. It was a unity minister. Try to deal with his energy, and how to handle it differently. And he told the minister about his situation, and the ministers thought about it for a moment and said, well, don't pray on him, don't P-R-E-A-Y, but pray for him. And Larry was unglued when he heard that. He had no intention to do anything like that. What he wanted to do at that moment, he wanted to beat up the minister. He probably should have taken out some hazard insurance. And the minister said to him, he was, understanding. He said, look, I know you don't want to pray for him. And the guy said, yeah, I hate him. And the minister said, well, you can start your prayer any way that you want to. But pray for Craig's health, pray for his well-being, pray for his happiness. But remember, you can start the prayer any kind of way you want to. And so for 2 weeks, he said, this was his prayer. He said, if a Greyhound bus doesn't run over him first, God, he said that part really loud. Let Craig be happy and well. Let Craig be happy and well. And after 2 weeks, he dropped the part about the Greyhound bus, running him over, and the resentment began to disappear. He suddenly had more peace overcome him. He thought he could not reconcile with his wife, and he didn't reconcile with his wife. But within a year, he found the perfect partner for himself, the dream for his life, and became happily married. And now as for Craig, he wasn't hit by a bus. But he didn't keep Larry's ex-wife either. So it didn't work out too well for him. I was thinking about, Emily Cady in her book, Lessons in Truth, was still one of my fundamental books that I read from time to time. It was written in the late 1800s, 1900s, and got, old-time language in it. But she covers a lot of the basic stuff that all the modern-day gurus are teaching today. And she had a definition of forgiveness that I remember. She said, forgive means to give for. Give good in exchange of the negativity that may come your way. Give good for the so-called evil that happens. When we do not forgive, we're giving someone else power over us. I think to stop the avalanche of negativity from creeping into our consciousness, we want to practice a lot of self-talk. We want to say to ourselves, and what we say to other people is important because all of our life is based upon our self-talk, our self-contemplation toward ourselves or toward other people. The energy that we hold affects what we see. And there could be a divine and perfect idea waiting for us right in front of our faces, and we will not see it because it is surrounded by the weeds of negativity, the weeds of negative energy. And this energy disempowers us and stops us from seeing our good that is waiting to be expressed in our life. So we want to take our power back and end useless and unnecessary suffering. When I was in ministerial school, that's what they called sin. Sin was self-inflicted nonsense. That's what I think of sin, self-inflicted nonsense. We do it to ourselves. No one suffers like the person blaming. No one suffers like the person resenting. No one suffers like the person holding the unforgiveness. The thought of resentment and hostility, unforgiveness, perpetuates the inner stress and converts our natural wholeness and well-being into ill-being and is spiritual suicide for us. There was a story I ran across about a group of people who felt continuously depressed over a long period of time. And I think therapists would call that maybe clinical depression. And they were all afflicted, according to the study, with something deadlier than ordinary pressures of life or even chemical imbalances. They found out they were victims of their own resentful thoughts. And when the resentful thoughts and behavior came into their life, it reduced their life. But when they began to get rid of those thoughts, there was a corresponding decline in their depression. Catherine Ponder, who had passed away a number of years ago, was a friend of this movement, wrote a book called Open Your Mind to Prosperity. And she wrote something that I found interesting, said that if everyone practiced forgiveness on a daily basis, they would put the doctors, the psychiatrists, the psychologists, the social workers, the lenders, probably the ministers and the churches out of business because everybody would be healthy, everybody would be prosperous. I don't know if I would go quite that far. We don't want to have anybody out of business because everybody's forgiven, but it's a good thing. Sometimes purifying our awareness, it starts with us, ourselves. Self-forgiveness. I think all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. Even if we're thinking we're forgiving another person, what we're doing is forgiving our misperception of them. We're forgiving our mislabeling of them. You know, I've mentioned from time to time, someone asked me, what was the turning point that led me to get on this spiritual path and involved in ministry, which was not in any of my plans. And sometimes I would say, you know, I was going through some challenges, my own personal addictions, and lost my way, reached that dark, seemingly hopeless point in my life. And everything I thought was important in my life was lost. And so I was beating myself up on a regular basis. I was saying, you know, I'm a bad person, I'm terrible, I'm messed up, I'm horrible, and I'm saying it loud, I'm repeating it, and I'm saying, God, are you getting this? Are you getting this, God? Because I'm trying to let God know I'm beating myself up before God beats me up. But at one point, I began to have my own revelation and forgave myself. It was a process. You know, it took a while. You know, it's not instantaneous. You know, you engage in a lot of different, you know, whatever. I don't know what I was doing. I was in a treatment center. I was doing group therapy. I was doing one-on-one counseling, you know, encounter groups. And it didn't seem like anything would go away that would get this guilt off of me. And then all of a sudden, one day, it disappeared. And as an individual who has made every human mistake a person could possibly make and live to talk about it, I'm here to tell you that what we've done in the past, it does not matter. And once we begin to let go and release, then we have cleared the energy field by canceling all that unforgiveness toward ourselves, letting it go, cutting it loose, and then we're able to see the possibilities for our life. Martin Luther King said something to the effect, we must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. One who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power of love. There is some good in the worst of us, and there's some evil in the best of us. When we discover this, we are less prone to hate our enemies. There's a song that's going to be sung a little later by Denise that Paula let me know about on forgiveness. And the songwriter was giving a background to what was happening as he was writing a song or wrote it. Anyway, the story is about a woman named Renee Napier. And Renee lived in Florida, and she wrote a note or a letter to the songwriter. And she shared with him that she was on a life mission. It was a mission she never would have chosen for herself at all. She'd been on the journey of stepping out of the darkness of bitterness and anger into the light of forgiveness. But in her mind, she had been asked to do something that was impossible. And the reason that has been, in her mind, impossible, because her 20-year-old daughter was driving home from the beach one night in Florida when her car was struck by a drunk driver. And the drunk driver was a really good kid, 24-year-old named Eric, and by all accounts, you know, he was a good, decent person. But he made a bad decision that day. And that night, for the first time, he got behind the wheel, you know, inebriated. And as a result, it took the lives of not only Renee's daughter, but the daughter's best friend who was a passenger in the car with her. And that night, Eric's life, of course, came to a screeching halt. Renee's life came to a screeching halt. All the family members of the people who passed away came to a screeching halt, even Eric's family. And everyone was in shock. Eric was eventually sentenced to 22 years in prison because of what he had done. So here's this grieving mother left to somehow try to pick up the pieces of life after she had to do what no parent ever should have to do, and that is to say goodbye to their child. She said she was in the darkest place that she'd ever been in her life. She had a lot of anger. She had a lot of hatred toward the man that was behind bars. He was paying for his offense. And any one of us, I think, looking at it from the outside and saw her story, her situation, could say, yeah, I understand why you feel the way you feel. In fact, the person who wrote the song on forgiveness said when he read about the story, he thought about his own two little girls, and the first thought that came to his mind is if anyone tried to harm them, he didn't know if he would have it in him to forgive. Yet as the months began to pile up, Renee began to feel like God was putting something on her heart. That even though the young man responsible was behind bars, she was the one being held prisoner. A prisoner of her own mind and energy and thoughts. And Renee says she got the message from the Holy Spirit of God that, the Spirit of God is never in a state of unforgiveness. So we don't have to ask God for forgiveness. We're already forgiven. But the message for her was, hey, if you want to be free, you need to go and forgive this man. So she decided to reach out to Eric and told him, I've been guided by the presence of God, so I want to let you know that I'm setting it free by feelings and unforgiveness towards you. I'm forgiving you. And most importantly, I want you to know that God forgives you too. Now, at that time when she said that, she was doing it for whatever reason, but she didn't know that she was also changing the life of that man. And behind bars, this prisoner, Eric, experienced a spiritual transformation. And I think that whole story demonstrates the power and an example of what forgiveness can do. But here's the rest of the story. Renee began to develop an unlikely friendship with this young man. And her whole family began to embrace him. And although they did lose a daughter, they still experienced the sting of the crucifixion of her going and passing. But they also felt now they had gained a son. And Renee worked with the courts in Florida and had his sentence cut in half, so he was able to get out after 11 years, or at least had his sentence reduced. And the person who wrote the song that we're going to hear said that during the time that he was writing the song, he had no idea what was going on. So as he was writing about setting a prisoner free, little did he know that Eric was about to be released from prison, and he'd end up standing side by side with Renee. And Renee was going around the country sharing at schools about the dangers of drunk driving. And when Eric was released, he went with Renee, not only sharing about the dangers of drunk driving, but also about the power of forgiveness. And the songwriter said the last verse of a song that he wrote on forgiveness had special significance for him, particularly when he found out that Eric was free and Renee also was spiritually free. And these are the words that he said he wrote about. He said, forgiveness will clear the bitterness away. It can even set a prisoner free. There is no end or what its power can do. So let it go and be amazed by what you see through the eyes of grace. The prisoner that it really frees is you. And that is the power of forgiveness. Peace and blessings to you. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about our true place of freedom when we talk about discover the power within you. And we'll have Reverend Janae will do the meditation, and the music will be by Carol Manson, Larry Shiflett, Soul Light Connection. So it'll be a wonderful experience of joy and upliftment, I know, next week as well. If you want a prayer immediately after the service, look for one of the folks that has the white stoles on, and they'll be more than happy to pray with you. And you don't have to wait until there's a problem. You can pray for some good stuff because they just will bring more energy to you when they pray with you in the courtyard. If you're online and want to stay in contact with Spiritual Life Center and know what's going on at our community, you can fill out one of the welcome cards online and just go to slcworld.org. Go to the Connect tab, and it'll pop up what you need to fill out so you can be on the mailing list to know about what's happening. But more importantly, we want to know if there's anyone here for the very first time. Any first-timers here today? If you want to raise your hand, any first time? Oh, yes, a young man here, yes. Thank you. Christian, I just met him in the service. There's someone back there that was raising their hand. Yes, that's the lady right in front of me there. There's a card that if you want to fill it out, it'll help you stay in contact with us if you want to know about our activities and events and classes and fun stuff. And if you wear the ribbon, you get a special greeting from one of our Spiritual Life Center friends and members. We thank you for being here today. We affirm the magnificence that you are. And we see you doing great things, and that's why we're here, to support you on your journey and your path, whatever that may be for you. At this time, for those who are online that would like to support Spiritual Life Center with your gift or offering, you can do so by texting SLC Love to 44321. Just text SLC Love to 44321, or you can go to our website, slcworld.org, click the Donate tab, and it'll give you other ways that you can give, including by mail. For those who are here today that would like to give, and if you've already given electronically or by mail, just know that you're in a flow of a spiritual principle that says whatever you give out, it comes back to you in so many different ways and from directions you never even thought of. For we indeed are one in the Spirit. There's a cycle that takes place. We give, we receive, and that's how the world operates. And so with that awareness, let's affirm our offertory blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
On your mind today, it always goes to those who don't deserve. It's the opposite of how you feel when the pain they cause is just too real. Take everything you have to say the word forgiveness. Of a man inside, it's always anger's own worst enemy. Even when the jury and the judge say you got a right to hold a grudge, it's a whisper in your ears that sets you free. Forgiveness. It'll clear the bitterness away, even set a prisoner free. There is no end to what its power can do. So let it go and be amazed at what you see through eyes of grace. The prisoner, it really frees is you. Forgiveness. Show me how to reach the unreachable.
Forgiveness. Thanks for that reminder in song, and I know it touched me. I hope it touched everyone else here this morning. Well, we started by blessing those who have blessed us with their gifts and offerings today. Knowing that giving is a form of love. It's the shadow of love. Money is the shadow of love. And so we want to cast a big shadow by supporting a purpose of helping people transform lives, make a difference in our world. So we bless those who have blessed us with their generosity and their gifts. We also bless those who have left their prayers in the prayer box today or throughout the week. For we're reminded that in this thing called life, we have bumps along the road, we have setbacks, we have challenges that we cannot figure out on our own. Our own might and power, our own know-how, maybe I'll be able to figure what the solution is. So in those moments, we lean on a presence that has the answer even before we know what the prayer need is. We're reminded that this presence says in a feeling, if not in words, there's a divine solution waiting to be expressed. It only knows divine and perfect spiritual solutions, and as we become one with this energy field, they are revealed to us in the ways that we never imagined. And so we let ourselves simply release and let go what we're holding on to, our understanding of how things should be, and realize that this presence, this power, this love has the answer even before we know what the question is. For this presence is more powerful than any circumstance that we face. No matter how perplexing it may appear to be, the answer is in this all-knowing, everywhere present presence that is omniactive, but most importantly, active in and as our life when we allow it and open up ourselves to it. So we release and let go of what we're holding on to in order to be free in this spiritual presence so it can do its work. And as it does its work, seeming miracles begin to happen. Understandings begin to reveal themselves. So we're grateful for this presence in our life and in our world. For this and so much more, we're grateful and thankful as we go forth doing our part to anchor the all good in this life and in this planet in which we live. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Let's join together now as we affirm our prayer for protection. And just take it in as if we know this is the truth and this is the first time we're hearing it. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well. Let's sing our peace song.
God.
Have a great day, great week, and hang around for some postlude music if you want.